So I remember that, in the future, we're going to be mostly likely reaching what is known as a singularity,
Yes.
where we will create AI that will probably equal or surpass us in intellect, and we don't know what the consequences or ramifications of that will be. In fact, Dune, if you've not read the book, but in the future, spoilers for those who don't want to know, that the reason why the Dune universe or the world is the way it is that because they reached the singularity and they had a war, the humans and machines had a war, and then they made a decision that there will be no more machines.
Yep.
Intelligent machines, sorry, excuse me. So, I forgot to ask you this. Since you're studying biology, and science is ultimately almost the same thing, because what is... it is.
No, I know. I'm just
Because
thinking of
because the
the
wide
jokes
range,
that I've seen about it.
yeah, like if you go down to it, everything at a molecular level is atoms and molecules and electrons, protons and
Yes.
quarks, and then we go into physics. And
Yes.
anyway, I think you get my point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then, what do you think is the future of biology and widely science in maybe, let's say, the next 5, 10, 20 years, and if you could give us a little bit about your thoughts on when we're going to achieve singularity and
that's a whole other question itself.
Yeah. Let's take it step by step.
Let's take it step by step. Biology in the next 5 years, I don't think will be that significantly different as the way we live now. Most easily accessible biology that you and I, or not you and I, but the common person meets usually comes in the form of medication, or comes in the form of the ecology and the environment, the world around them. And in terms of those, I think COVID has shown us that we are learning so much more about viruses and technologies and how they affect human life. And we will see a lot of improvements, hopefully, as to how we react to a new pandemic if there is one in the near future. So in terms of medical sciences, I think that's the one I know of, at least. I'm not well versed enough to talk about actual changes in the way we look at medicine, because I don't quite know enough about that. But the other thing I was talking about was the ecology. Global warming is the thing that's going to kill us all, probably. Not to be too pessimistic about it, but yeah, things need to change. I don't know if they are changing quickly enough. I don't know if they're going to change in the next 5 to 10 years at all. But in terms of shifting to cleaner sources of energy, being more sustainable and careful about how we interact with the natural resources present at the moment, that's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge of the next 10 to 20 years. To expand it larger to science, I think space travel is going to be one of the bigger things. I don't know, again, how much of an effect stuff like SpaceX and Blue Origin will have. It is good to see that the space race is being continued. I'm still a bit pessimistic about it because it is being done mainly through corporations rather than a governmental effort. NASA is renewing its Artemis mission, and I think they're trying to move in 2023 or 24 or whenever to go back to the moon. And China is already, getting a base set up on the dark side of the moon. So interplanetary stuff hopefully will be good. The Hubble telescope has also just come out and getting some beautiful images for it. I don't know if you've seen that, but from the more cosmology side of things, I think we are moving well, but I don't know how much is well enough. I think our current climate crisis and human crisis, rather, is going to be what's dominating the news cycle for the next 5 years or so. So I'm optimistic, but I want to be realistic. I don't think we will reach singularity in the next 10, 15 years. I don't know about an AI that will be, what's the right word? I guess self-aware enough to be a challenge to humans. So far, most parts of AI that I've seen have ended horribly. And as much as it is an interesting scientific topic, it is going to be such a big philosophical and legal issue that's going to be, I think, a topic for the next 20 years, not now at the moment. But maybe I don't know that much about computer science to give you a good answer to that, I guess.
talking about AI and the fact that we're going to reach singularity, God knows when, and what are the consequences or ramifications of that. There are a few TV shows and movies, especially, and even comic books, the ones that everyone knows about, Marvel. And I don't know if you watched What If by the latest.
I kind of missed it, but yeah.
I think you should watch it because they explore, things like the butterfly effect and how a small change can lead to a drastic ending in a universe, and they explore the possibility of that we're living in a multiverse, and they explore the So however, there's a reason why I'm rambling about this. It's because every time that an AI has become self-aware, it has reached the conclusion that humans are bad, and that the only way to
I should point out that
long-lasting
in terms of fiction, yes, that's always how it's kind of gone.
Take Age of Ultron, for instance, Marvel.
I would point out I don't know how much into detail I can go onto this in this podcast, but I think Microsoft tried to build its own AI chatbot a couple of years ago. And I think after 24 hours, because of the data, I don't know what kind of data they used, but I think they let it go on Twitter and stuff. Rather than kind of hating humans, it just became insanely racist. So we do ignore this sort of human element of it, where it's going to kind of read our texts and what we post on Facebook and stuff, and it's not going to hate us. It's just going to become another one of us, and that's just going to be.
And I think tone can't be conveyed through text, right? So I think the nuances of
that too. But I think our problem isn't an AI hating us. It's just the sheer amount of data and garbage that it has to kind of sift through to even become smart enough. We kind of have some time to not worry about it, and hopefully the people, I know the people smart enough to make this thing will already have this in mind. My biggest worry when it comes to AI is obviously the first thing is that it will be used for some kind of governmental control. We all know that if it's marketable, it's going to be used against people, and that's the biggest issue. And secondly, it's the question of how much influence will it have on a day-to-day person's life. If you look at stuff like in the US, they used facial recognition technology for driving licenses, or not just driving violations, but kind of any sort of databases that they have. It's the kind of data that you input that'll give you a good result, and it's the data that we're inputting is very inherently biased towards a certain demographic of people. You look at China and the way they are incorporating technology, it is more towards governmental control. AI, I think, is one of those things that is going to become a tool for a lot more control than it is going to be open access use. And it's not going to be, genocide to humans as much as it is, you can't go here, don't do this. So I don't know if AI is that big of a specter that people think it is. It definitely can be if, gone and checked, but we have time. So